What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Big T's Reviews and Reactions, and I'm back with another review, breakdown, whatever you want to call it. This is a breakdown of American Horror Story, Death Valley, Episode 9, Blue Moon. The synopsis of this episode is: an unexpected visitor arrives at the White House and reveals the details of the horrific plan. Like, subscribe, comment, and click the notification bell anytime you want to see or hear more of this channel. Now, guys, you know how we are. Let's just get right into it. This episode was really crazy to me, and it started with Eisenhower sitting down. He has a pen in front of him, and all of his all the generals and the cabinet members of his presidency are sitting around him. He is having a hard time. He's essentially a good person, and he really doesn't want to do this. The alien wants him to sign a contract to, of course, allow them to abduct Americans. The population of their race, they're dying out, and they want to put an end to it by hybrid breeding with earthlings. He doesn't want to do it because it's subjecting Americans to torture. As a matter of fact, this is exactly what he says. So the aliens, who are very intelligent, and they're using his love of America against him because he's the president, and they ask him, would you rather the Soviet Union have this technology? He tells them he really doesn't understand what they're doing. They're all powerful. They have telekinesis. They have these things where they can take over your body. So his main question is, why did you come in this way? Why didn't you just do it without us knowing? We would have just went on thinking, people, we wouldn't have known about you. And then this is the creepy part. They inform him that they want his signature. So if he backs out, they can show it to the American people. So basically, they're trying to blackmail him, which is exactly what he says. And he shoves the paper and he tells them, no, I won't do that. So this is when they get really nuclear. They get really nasty. They tell him, okay, if you don't do it, then your wife will not get her body back, and you'll be cleaning up brain matter for the next few days. All of a sudden, his wife's eyes come back. They're no longer grayed over, and she's herself again, and she starts bleeding and hurting because he thinks they're about to blow her up, and he signs the paper and say, let her go. So she falls to the ground, and she's herself. Nixon and Eisenhower and some other men, they're sitting in the room later on, and they're looking at a projector, and it shows a video, a picture of some UFOs in Kansas as people are being abducted. And one of Eisenhower men's tell him one of them was a 9-year-old girl. He can't take this. He screams for them to shut the projector off. Now, 3 years later, they are actually back in the same room, and one of the men informs Eisenhower that 298 people have been taken over the last 3 years. He's feeling really guilty. He doesn't really know what he can do. And what's even more disheartening for him is they haven't heard anything from the aliens at all. And Nixon is, he's saying not even a thank you, what are they up to? But he also tries to get Eisenhower to, let's not jump to judgment, let's just stay calm. And then all of a sudden, a roaring sound comes, a bright light, everything is shaking, and we see Cody Fern from, other American Horror Stories like 1984 and Apocalypse. He played Michael Landon, the son of Satan, on Apocalypse. So he's on the lawn. And then next thing you know, he's in the White House. All of the president's security team, they're pointing guns at him. And he has the ability to use telekinesis. So what's going on is they're just being literally thrown back to the wall. He's not killing them. That's important. He's not killing them. He's just using telekinesis to throw them back. And if he has telekinesis, he could very well kill them. But he's not here for that. So he finally goes to the president, and he informs the president that my name is Valiant Thor. Think of me as he said, I can't remember the word he used, but it's a word that he used that means like a go-between between the aliens and the president. And he says that they are creating a new species, and it's a species that is neither human or alien, but it can survive on Earth. So he pulls back his hairpiece, and he's some kind of a sidebar because you see all of these machine parts. So he's a cyborg. So that's what he means by he's not a go-between. He's not a human. He's not an alien. He's something that evidently the aliens built. All the while, he has this suitcase with him, and he opens up the suitcase, tells them, let's get down to business. This is why we're here. So he opens up the suitcase, and inside, I mean, to us, it looks somewhat like an iPod. Is actually a handheld computer, and he says it's more powerful than the computer that they have at the Pentagon that takes up space in an entire room. And he says one day this device will usher in peace and harmony among mankind. Well, I mean, evidently we haven't seen this device yet. And almost like taking candy from a baby, he looks at the president and he says, so do you want this? Do you want this? So later, Eisenhower he's reading the paper and he sees an article about the missing girl, the missing child. And he's just feeling really, really guilty. But now he puts a name to the face, and the name of the girl that was missing is Caroline Gibbons. He starts hearing footsteps from the vents as he looks above him. So naturally, this is the White House. I'm the president. This is my home. I want to know where this is coming from. So as he goes to check, he follows this and he goes into the boiler room and he follows the sounds from the pipes, and he sees a bunch of containers, and behind it he can hear the sound. So he moves the containers and he sees a door, and on the door there is this small square like mirror image box, and as he touches it, it lights up. He puts his whole hand on it and we realize it's a scanner for an identity, and then it opens and he goes in and he realizes it's an elevator and it's going down somewhere where he's never been. He didn't even know it existed. As he gets out, he hears people and they seem like they are being tortured. And as he walks, he sees a man run up to the glass. His head is bleeding and someone is holding him back. And the man is in agony. He's screaming, please, please help me. And then all of a sudden we see Valiant. And he says, we weren't expecting your visit. It wasn't supposed to be for a few weeks. The president asks, what is this place? He says, oh, well, this was built before we came here. You know, years before we came here. It was built in case of a nuclear bomb or a nuclear war. And Valiant finds it funny that the president had no idea about this. But anyway, as Eisenhower, you know, he's walking around this big place he's never seen, he comes upon something that really makes him think twice. He sees like giant test tubes or beakers full of liquid, and these species of aliens, that's what it looks like, are floating around. Eisenhower wants to know what they really look like, if they're going to fit in with the Earthlings, and Valiant informs him they don't want to show you what they really look like, because if you saw them, you may call off the deal. Dwight informs him, well, I may very well do that anyway. And that's when Valiant tells him, you don't want to do that. Eisenhower's like, yeah, they'll take it to the Soviet Union. He said, no, they'll do this by force. They are actually, you know, offering you an olive branch by getting you involved in this. So you just need to not call it. You know, this sends chills down his spine, and he goes over and he sees a big glass room, and he sees a little girl about 9 in the room with all these wires on her, and he asks, where did this little girl come from? And Valiant says, I think she came from Kansas. And this is when he realizes this is Caroline Gibbons, the guilt that he is feeling, and he's drinking more because of it. You know, he and Mamie are at breakfast, and she's just talking about, you know, everything she's been talking about, from her fudge to Halloween, to people wanting to remember her, you know, things to make her mark on her legacy so she can be remembered. She isn't bothered, but he is clearly bothered that she isn't bothered. And, you know, she informs him, well, they fixed the sound, but his issue is, it has nothing to do with the sound. Doesn't this upset you that they are under our roof doing these experiments? She informs him, if you don't like it, let them have another place where they can do their experiments. This is what I love about Ryan Murphy. He ties in things that are mysterious to us today. And she informs Dwight that, what about just give them Nevada? Give them some land in Nevada. You know, I don't like Nevada. It's hot. I remember we had to go there to campaign, yada, yada, yada. And I mean, I'm a conspiracy theorist, you know, myself. And I already knew where this was going. I already knew this was going to Area 51. And this gave him an idea. Yes, how about we do that? So you see Eisenhower sitting in front of Val the next morning, signing a paper that is giving them hundreds and hundreds of acres so they could build Area 51, a top secret military base, which now we know what's going on in Area 51. That's where some people are going to take it. But oddly enough, this explanation by Ryan Murphy actually works. If you don't know a lot about Area 51, they actually have permission to use lethal force if you come too close, if you step on this land. So whatever is there, they are willing to kill to keep it a secret. And that is the God honest truth. So after he does this, he informs everyone in the room that what happens in this room today really didn't happen. As long as we are a nation, as long as this is a republic, you are not to tell anyone what happens in his room. This episode could have been called Guilt Becomes Him, because, I mean, that's all this is. He's drinking again, and he hears a sound from the vents, except this time it's someone moaning. He goes and he follows the sound, and he goes to his bedroom, and Mamie is having sex with Valiant Thor. He faints. Okay, I mean, when this happens, I'm thinking, okay, he was dreaming. He wakes up on his bed, and Mamie is in the mirror, and she tells him, no, it wasn't a nightmare, it was a dream, it happened. I was like, wow, and she's really not hiding it. She could have made him believe that it didn't happen, but, you know, in the end, he tells her, I can't even look at you. And she says, well, now you know what I've been going through when you were in the war with that trollop. So you understand what I'm going through now. So we jump 5 years later. This episode, even though this review seems to be going kind of fast, this episode it had a lot going on, but it wasn't really fast paced. It was just action packed. So we move 5 years, and this is when John F. Kennedy is the president. And this is right after, you know, in a past episode, I told you, if you've seen these episodes, John F. Kennedy was lying in the bed right after Eisenhower and Nixon informed him of the deal made with the aliens. And he told Marilyn Monroe. That's when we found out why she believed it, why she wasn't shocked. So she's actually in a film in a pool, and it's being taped, and she's talking about, yes, it's aliens, they've come to abduct us. Nixon doesn't like this. He knows where she heard this from, and Eisenhower informs him, look, she drinks, she takes pills, she's an actress, no one is going to believe her. And evil Nixon just says, well, because she drinks and because she takes pills, no one will be the wiser if she just ends up dead. And Eisenhower does not like he says, no, I'm not signing off on murder. And, he says, oh, no, sir, I'm not going to do that. And, Marilyn is home, and she is on the phone. She's trying to talk JFK, but she can't. And she's hearing all these sounds like footsteps, the wind, leaves rustling, and as she goes over to the window, she turns back and she sees an alien in her house. And she screams as two cloaked men grab her and they cover her mouth. As they take some pills on the side of her bed and they put a bunch of them in her hand, and evidently they made her take them. Because the next day what we see is John F. Kennedy mourning her because in the paper it says she was found dead. Nixon, he actually calls. Oh, I really like the girl. I want to tell you how sorry I am. Like, in a way, this isn't hiding that you had something to do with it. And he tells John F. Kennedy, whoever you choose to sleep with in the future, that is your business. It's no never mind to me. But you should be careful about the pillow talk because people are crazy. You don't know what can happen. 1 year later, after the Kennedy assassination, Lyndon B. Johnson is the president, and we learned in a past episode that the Kennedy assassination happened because John F. Kennedy was not willing to go along with this alien deal, and he was going to break it up, and he was assassinated because of it. But we meet at Area 51, and Dwight Eisenhower is still not on good terms with Richard Nixon, even though Richard really doesn't have a need to care. he asked Dwight, we still not speaking? And Dwight Howard says, if we were still speaking, I'd tell you to go and fuck yourself. So, of course, Dwight Howard is still upset, probably about JFK and Marilyn Monroe. But Lyndon Johnson comes over, and that's when Valiant Thor comes out. And he says, Mr. President, Lyndon, are you ready to see how the world works? And he says, I already know. I mean, they go in this room and there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of alien species, maybe hybrids, in these tubes full of this liquid. And Lyndon B. Johnson, to say the least, he is shocked. I mean, he just doesn't know what he sees. And that's really how the past part of this episode ends. We go to the present, and this is near the end of the episode, guys. And we see Troy, and the baby is moving. You can see in his stomach that the baby is moving, and he is panicking. And then all of a sudden, the alien, she tries to butter him up. You should be proud. You're going to be like an ambassador. You're helping our race as well as yours. And, she takes this laser, almost like a laser pointer. It's alien technology. And she tells him, you're not going to feel any pain. And he realizes he can't move. And they are now talking telepathically. And she takes the laser and it cuts a slit in his stomach where they take out the baby, which is in like this sack. They go over and they cut the sack open. And the baby, it looks like a regular baby except for the eye. And Troy sees the baby and he doesn't even care that it's an alien. It's his baby. He just loves it and he wants to hold it. The aliens seem to be upset because they say it's healthy, but the physical appearance is not to their liking. So the next thing you know, they slit the throat as Troy is asking for the baby. He stands up trying to get to the baby as they slit the throat, and they put the baby in this liquid, effectively killing it and drowning it. And she waves her hand and Troy falls to the floor. This happens, and then a week later, we see Troy, so he's not dead. He's up and he's going back into the big white room where Cal, Kendall, and Jamie jump up because they're so happy to see him. They really thought he was dead. He informs them that I had a baby, and he's really upset. He's mourning this baby because he tells them I felt connected to it, and they just murdered it. And he's starting to cry. He says they just, he takes them through what happened to him. They killed the baby. He tells them about how he didn't have to speak. It was like telepathic. And he tells them all of this. Kendall just wants to know, did it hurt? He informs her, no, it actually didn't hurt at all. At first, he says, it hurts like a MFer. But then he said the woman waved her hand. She took the pain away and it didn't hurt. But again, he's talking about how they killed the baby and they have to get out of there. Calico hears this and she tells them, you guys, this is Area 51. You're never getting out of here. You guys need to understand. And Kendall asks her, well, how many babies have you had? And she says, I've had 3 babies since like 1969. Wow. And she informs them that after the first few, you begin not to care. Because I guess none of her babies lived. Kendall asks, how can you be so calm? How come you have not gone insane? And she takes them into a room where it's a replica of the moon landing. And Kendall wants to know, why are we here at a replica of the moon landing? And Calico looks at her like, are you insane? Do you not get it? They faked all of it. And then here I go again, like giving credit to Ryan Murphy. He's just amazing the way he ties this thing together. If some of you don't know, there has been rumors and speculation that they faked the moon landing for years. Some people believe it, and then some people don't believe that they really went to the moon. And Calico, we go to a flashback to 1969, where Calico is working at a bar, and we basically learn Calico's life wasn't going anywhere. For lack of better words, she was basically a slut. And she slept for people with money, prostitute, slut, whatever you want to call her. She was that. And Well, this was around the time that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were supposed to be on the moon. But then what we learn is that Calico sees them in a bar trying to hide in the corner, trying to be incognito. And she realizes they're supposed to be on the moon. So she goes over there. She's flirting a little bit. She gets them drunk. And they go on and they tell her everything about how they faked the moon landing. And, you know, our lines, one step for man, one giant step for mankind, yada, yada, yada. And then we realize she sleeps with them. And as she's up in her nightgown combing her hair, some men in black, no pun intended, come and stab her in the neck with a syringe, drugging her. She wakes up and she's pregnant. And unlike Troy and Jamie and Kendall and Cal, she's alone in the room by herself, but she's pregnant. So she pulls the wires off and she's holding her baby bump, giant baby bump, like she's about to give birth. And she happens upon the room where Neil and Buzz are, you know, they're acting for the moon landing. And as she's watching this, she gets drugged yet again. So while she tells her story, she leaves the four to their devices because she wants them to understand, you're not getting out of here. I just want you guys to understand this. And they begin to feel this way too. They almost like they kind of give up, but they seem to be just grateful that they are alive because they thought Troy was dead. And they say, well, we have each other. It's not so bad here. At least we have each other. So they just come to the realization that we're just not going to live. So a little while later, this is the end of the episode, guys. Cal is sitting there. He's scared. And he tells Troy, the baby is coming. I can feel it. It's moving, it's kicking, but I don't want them to kill it. So Troy says, I can buy you some time. Can you walk? So, I mean, they really let them go freely around there. You know, people aren't watching them and, you know, watching where they go. So they go into this room. I think it's the same moon landing room. And Troy informs them, we can't let them kill our family. We can't let them kill another baby. And he pulls out a towel and a scalpel that he stole. And he informs Cal, I can take the baby out of you. Okay, Cal is scared. I mean, who can really blame him? He's afraid because I think at the very beginning of Death Valley, as Troy was coming out the bathroom, it says that he wanted to take over his father's law firm. You know, he really has no future career in medicine or a background in medicine, so this is really dangerous. This is really a bad idea. But Cal agrees because he loves his baby and Troy so much. Troy puts a towel in Cal's mouth and he cuts the stomach open somewhat like the aliens did, but clearly not as clean. And he takes the baby out, or the sack out, and he cuts the sack open where it's water inside the sack. And as they pull the baby halfway out, they're talking about how beautiful it is. We're not going to let anybody hurt you. And when they pull the baby all the way out, they realize the bottom of the baby is squid-like. And it jumps on Cal's face and it begins to suffocate him. And this is the end of the episode, guys. And unfortunately, guys, next week we are at the season finale. That's right. Death Valley is only 4 episodes long, but they have so far, it's been 3 really action-packed episodes. I'm really going to be sorry to see this go. Click the notification bell and also let me know what kind of videos that you want me to make. Guys, I'm Big T and this is Big T's Reviews and Reactions, and I will see you guys next time.